Maybe on the job for you right now, it's a tricky thing. If you're at work and you feel like, gosh, I'm a creative person, I'm a creator. I'm a person who's got the vision here of doing things maybe a new way, a different way, and I'm always getting blocked, maybe by someone or something. Why is that? Is it on you? Is it on them? Or is it a combination thereof? Well, let's talk about it today with the good doctor, Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing, and of course all the podcasts at Dr. John B, letter B.com. Good morning. Welcome.
Well, good morning to you, Dave. And if you're a creative person, which you are, or hopefully I am, in our lives and our careers, we're going to run into times that we can feel stymied. Okay, that's just kind of the way things are. And people might say, well, why is that? Okay, well, I think it's some things to look at are, one, systems and persons really strive to maintain. You know, once something is working or even not working, we tend to want to continue it. Two, new ideas are a challenge to the status quo. Three, new ideas are perfect targets for the professional fault finder. As you know, they are everywhere. Control over persons by saying no is a powerful incentive for persons that want to control people. And seven, no change is the perfect level of change for many persons. There are a lot of people that just don't like change. And eight, some persons thrive in being the negative force on just anything and everything. So those are pretty typical types of reasons why creativity. It's not that creative people are disliked. It's just that creativity leads to change. Change is something that systems, people, call it what you will, are just often not wanting to do because they want to keep things going in a predictable manner. Now, if you want, I can briefly talk about things
you
that
can.
creative persons do.
But I want to mention something before we go on to maybe possible solutions, and that's to differentiate between people in your work who will ask questions. If you've got the greatest idea of all time, you've just reinvented sliced bread. That's wonderful. The better mousetrap has just been devised, but they'll ask you a lot of questions about it, and I think that's a good thing. I think you should be able to defend creative ideas that are thinking outside the box and come up with ways in so doing that make them more than just an idea, but maybe something that becomes fleshed out. But you're right. The extreme of that is people who just say, no, that will never work. Get back to what you're doing. You see where I'm going with that. Sometimes that there's that person that seems like they might be negative, but they're actually helping to hone you and maybe a better argument on your part. I think, steel on steel kind of thing. What say you?
Well, I would agree with that, Dave. On the other hand, I believe that many persons don't even get the opportunity to have a good, give and take set of questions.
That's true. Right.
Ideas can be shot down. Like you said, well, we've been doing it this way for 50 years and we're succeeding. Why would we want to bring about change? Okay, but that's kind of maybe an extreme example. But in life, there's something to be said for maintenance, maintaining, going along. So when you bring about change, it can be for many, many people difficult. And if you're in a situation like that, the main thing to do is persevere. You want to persevere with your creativity. You don't want to be kind of stifled to the point that you just don't carry forward. A second reason would be change jobs in the company. If you do work with a group that moves at glacial speed and you really can't deal with that, then it is time to really change, particularly if you try to bring things up and when you do, they just get shot down automatically, no discussion. Three, you can change companies, just completely change, go to a more innovative, more creative system to work in. Four, you also can eventually start your own company. If you have the skill sets, you can get the money together somehow, to start a startup.
Absolutely.
A banking, call it what you will. Sure. Five, ask questions that draw out opinions that can be hopefully discussed and not just attacked. If you are with a group that does have good discussion within it, then you can try to win over people And 6, another one is seek out the negative and worried persons before you go into the meeting and try to bring them along with your views. That can certainly be helpful. And then the easiest of all, maybe depending on the boss, is just to convince the boss or the decision maker to try things. So this is something that and we don't talk about it that much, but creative people do suffer in systems that are lockstep, set up not to change. We tend to maybe stereotypically think of the military, think of governmental agencies as not really wanting to change, being rule-bound, and, kind of rule one is we follow the rules. Rule 2, go back to 1, follow the rules. So it's if you're a creative person, it can be difficult. And that's when it's important to see if you can change a system, to see if you need to change, if you need to create your own system. But clearly, if you're creative, and there are many creative people that are stymied, they're in situations where no one wants change, and they can even see so many more effective ways of doing things, and they just don't get done because that's not the way we do things around here. So it can be very, very difficult for.
Well, on your list there, talking about solutions. I mean, I love a couple. One of the ones I love, which is start your own company. This has been the spark for so many entrepreneurs. They do have a better way of doing something, a way that's unique, it's different, it differentiates them, and it's just being blocked left and right. I mean, they say, you know what? I'm taking my ideas and going out with my own capital, maybe some other people who believe in me, and making it happen, and they do. That's part of the core of our. So that's a great thing. But the other one that I really dig here is you saying, seek out identify who's your biggest problem with getting this across, and align with them before you unveil the cake here in the break room. I mean, you if you've done that, people will look over there. Where's the problem? There doesn't appear to be one. Oh, I can get on board with this. You've used your creativity to find a way to open up the door for your creativity right there. True?
Well, that's very true, because if you can not necessarily silence, but kind of bring them along, because there are people
absolutely.
that are well-intentioned. They're just set in their ways. This is the way we do it. And so maybe rather than just trying to debate in a group, and often it's harder to change a person that's set in their ways in a group than it is if you can meet with them alone. Now, if you do this and you just find out that it doesn't matter, they're going to say, no, sliced bread is a bad idea. Just people like to pull it off with their hands, okay, whatever it might, or cut it themselves. So if you find a lot of that in a system, particularly if they're the decision makers, you then do have to decide what you're going to do. And one thing is not just to turn into a machine. You don't want to be doing that. You want to create. You want to find yourself in an environment where you're creative. And there are systems that are creative, many systems that are creative, that wanting to be creative or moving forward. And that's the kind of system you want to be with. But if you can find people that you can talk to prior to meetings, prior to decision making, and bring them along, because there are people that if they did understand that this new idea is not a threat to them, and it actually enhances their status in the system and can really be helpful to everybody, then people will often go along with that. It's just you have to become a salesperson and do that. It's not easy, but if you want to have things get done, that is what happened. And I think any of us have worked with people over the years that we know are creative, and we've also worked with people that like the word no, or like the word that's a bad idea, or why do we want to do that, or this works fine. Our company is really thriving. Why do we want to change things? So it's a lot of it is sales, just being able to sell things, being able to put maybe a complicated idea into a simpler way to explain it, and do it in a way you're non-threatening, too, because you don't want to threaten people. If people either have a job, have a situation, have things going a certain way, it could even be in a home, that they're threatened when changes come about. It has to be shown that this is going to be good for everyone. And so it's a good thing to do it. If you're creative, oh my, nothing worse than being stymied in an environment
Stifled,
where you're
right,
not
exactly
allowed
right.
to be creative.
We've been making these rotary dial phones the same way for 50 years. We're going to make them for 50 more. Well, maybe not. There'll be a door open for you somewhere else. Creative people can be stymied and stifled at work. There are ways to escape that kind of self-defeating prophecy, and you can really get it done. Good stuff today from the good doctor, Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services of East Lansing. Don't forget this podcast and all of the others, always available for you on so many different issues involving your psychology, good mental health, we say. And those are all at drjohnb.com. Take care, my friend. Have a creative day. I'm going to try to do so as well, and I'm going to try not to stymie myself, because that's never a good thing. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Very good, Dave. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right, you too. We'll be back, 1320. Don't go away. WILS.